Some of you may know that I'm publisher of an imprint called Christian Alternative for a small British publishing firm. In March, the owner sent out an email to authors inviting any of us to write a book about the COVID crisis. This is the kind of thing that has to be done in a week rather than months, or you miss the whole point of topicality. It was certainly a task beyond me, but I was reminded of an essay I wrote last year about the future of the church, in which I speculated about how religion might respond to a major political upheaval, whether caused by climate change, energy shortage, terrorism, migration, or some crazy president pressing the nuclear button. The one scenario I didn't spot was a pandemic. I said that in some of those outcomes, notably terrorism, religious stroke political ideology might have been a negative motivating factor. But on the positive side, religion in its organised form might help to ameliorate a crisis through emergency aid, caring for victims, and providing appropriate rituals for burial of the dead, remembering victims, and seeking peace and reconciliation. Often in extreme situations, people turn to religion for stability, in search of values that transcend the miseries and challenge of a crisis. This was clearly visible in New Zealand in the aftermath of the Christchurch mosque massacre in March 2019. What the pandemic has done is to force churches to close their doors. Some clergy have protested, while knowing rationally it's the right thing to do. Community has been pushed online, and pastors aren't even able to sit with the dying, which is something I have done often enough in my career, the last time 3 days before the lockdown. This made me ask again, what is at the core of religion? Is it more about what you do and who you are than what you believe? What prompted Jesus to tell the story of the Good Samaritan was a lawyer's question, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Not, what must I believe, you notice. And when Jesus threw the question back at him, he answered, to love God and your neighbour as yourself. I think most disputes within religion and between religions are about beliefs, not the flavour of the milk of human kindness. My former colleague, Giles Fraser, says the battle over God, namely the atheist-theist debate, is really a battle about a certain sort of emotional literacy. For the Christian life is as much dependent on arguments about God as birds are dependent on ornithology. And the novelist Francis Spufford, in a book entitled Unapologetic, Why, Despite Everything, Christianity Can Still Make Surprising Emotional Sense, says, a surprisingly large number of believers are at work with the dying, the demented, the addicted, the institutionalized, and the very impaired and afflicted, where the best that can be done is to love for the sake of it and to keep sorrow company. I think those two phrases get to the heart of the matter. To love for the sake of it, that is to say, recklessly and prodigally, and to keep sorrow company. One of the great problems of the present time is that it's very hard to keep sorrow company, and the burden of it in hospitals, for example, is falling on medical staff to hold the hand of the dying. Don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming religious people have any special knack for empathy. We're all in this together. And it's very telling that nearly all religions and many humanist philosophies agree that the key to social ethics is to treat others as you would like to be treated yourself.